If you've been anywhere near golf YouTube over the last couple of years, you've probably seen or heard this name. The conversation's popped up over and over again. Could Grant Horvat actually go pro? Not just playing in a random event here and there, but really commit to professional golf full-time and try to make it onto a major tour. Honestly, it's one of the more interesting golf discussions right now because Grant sits in this weird limbo middle ground where he's obviously way better than the average golfer, but professional golf is also completely different as a universe than what people think it is watching YouTube matches. Welcome to Golf Talk. I'm your host, Jimmy. Today, I want to really break this whole thing down realistically. And not in a hater way at all, not in a fanboy way, just honestly looking at the pros, the cons, and opportunities, the risks, and whether or not Grant Horvat actually should try to go pro. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. I am your 40-year-old golfer that has been golfing most of my life, and at one point was a 90s golfer, would occasionally break into the 80s, and right now probably around a 95 golfer, but back on the grind, back into it heavy, and going to share that journey with you guys. Now on paper, there's an argument for Grant going pro. The guy can play golf. We've seen him shoot some ridiculous rounds. We've seen him compete with really good players. He's long off the tee, he's athletic, he's got good touch around the greens, and honestly, his mental game is probably stronger than people give him credit for, considering the amount of cameras and pressure that he constantly plays under. But at the same time, there's a huge difference between being an elite content creator golfer and surviving professional golf week after week after week. I think that's where people start losing some perspective. So before we dive in, let me know in the comment section, do you watch Grant? Do you enjoy him? I thoroughly enjoy his content. I'm definitely a watcher of his videos, and I think he is right in his wheelhouse. I do. Now, one thing that helped fuel this whole debate, this whole conversation, is the fact that Grant has flirted with competitive golf already. He's played in pro events. He's tested himself. He's gotten around legit players, and every time he does, the internet immediately goes into, see, he could totally do this. But what people don't always see is how insanely hard professional golf really is beneath the surface. Like, genuinely hard in a way YouTube golf just really can't represent. People watch a Brian Bros video or a Good Major and think they're seeing high-level competitive golf. But tour golf is another planet mentally. It's not about shooting one good round on camera. It's about showing up every single day with your livelihood on the line, making the cut or not getting paid. It's about grinding through bad weather, bad lies, travel, pressure, expectations, knowing one terrible week could basically erase a month of work financially. And honestly, I think Grant himself understands that better than most people online discussing it. He's also smart. He's savvy. He knows having the discussion out there is good exposure. That's why I think it's really important when we talk about whether he should go pro instead of whether he could go pro, because these are two completely different conversations. Could Grant compete in professional golf? Honestly, probably at certain levels, yes. I think he absolutely could play mini tours. I think he could qualify for certain events. I think on the right week with the right putter, he could surprise people. His swing is fundamentally solid. I think his game travels well. And he's not intimidated by high-level players anymore because he's around them constantly. Playing with PGA Tour guys, live players, elite amateurs, major champions, that exposure and experience matters. You can tell. He's become way more comfortable in serious golf environments compared to where he was a few years ago. But making cuts occasionally and actually making it professionally, those are not the same thing. That's where reality sets in. There is a massive misconception that if somebody shoots low rounds on YouTube, they're automatically close to tour level. In reality, the gap between scratch golf and PGA Tour golf is almost impossible to explain unless you've seen it up close. There's many tour grinders all over the country. They shoot 65, 66s that nobody's ever heard of. These guys live out of their cars. They're barely scraping together travel money, and they can't break through consistently. Why is that? You're thinking to yourself, if I could get to where I could shoot a 65 on a normal basis, I'm going pro. Well, professional golf is probably one of the deepest talent pools in sports because so much of it comes down to consistency and your brain, your head, the mental game. It's not just talent. You have to be repeatable. You need repeatability under constant pressure. I think that's where Grant's current life actually works against going pro, because right now, he has something that most aspiring pros would kill for. Stability, freedom, a massive audience, big sponsorships, brand relationships, travel opportunities, business growth. Honestly, dare I say happiness? That matters. People always romanticize the idea of chasing the dream. I do, but they forget. Grant is already living the dream that millions of golfers would want. He gets to play amazing courses. He gets to collaborate with huge creators. He makes good money, I know he does, and build something that honestly is more sustainable long-term than professional golf is for most players outside the very, very top. That's another part nobody talks about. If Grant decided tomorrow to fully commit to pro, he wouldn't just be trying pro golf. He'd be risking the entire ecosystem that he's built. The content schedule has to change. The collaborations have to slow down. Sponsors, they might shift expectations. The YouTube momentum could cool off. And unlike a lot of other players trying to go pro, Grant has something substantial to lose. And that's what changes the equation. And honestly, I think that's one reason why we've seen him kind of keep one foot in the pool or in both worlds instead of fully diving in, because he knows the reality. The reality is that content golf is exploding in its own lane right now. Guys like Grant, Garrett, the Brian Bros, Rick Shields, all these others have basically created a completely different version of golf entertainment where they don't need the PGA Tour to matter anymore. 10 years ago, being a golf personality without tour status was impossible. Today, sometimes being outside the traditional golf structure is actually more powerful because you control your own brand. Look at Bryson DeChambeau. We did a video about him the other day, and Grant fits this perfectly. His personality works so well for modern golf audiences. He's calm, he's relatable, technically good enough to impress serious golfers, but still approachable enough for average golfers to maybe connect with. That's a pretty rare combination. Now, to be fair, there are arguments for why he should at least attempt a bigger competitive run. I'll put him out there. For one, he's young enough where physicality, skill, it's not impossible. We've seen late bloomers in golf before. Not often, but it does happen. And there's also the question of regret. 20 years from now, would he wonder what would have happened if he fully committed for 2 or 3 years? That's a real thought, because once your competitive prime fades, you don't get it back. Trust me, I know. I was never competitive, but the prime window faded for sure. I have a whole different reason why I enjoy golf and love golf, which I think if the video's up yet, how hard is it to break it, or breaking into the 90s? Is breaking 90 really hard? You'll get an insight into me a little more. And maybe I'll do a video later on, tell you some stories about my golf adventures, and TPC Sawgrass got a good one from that one as well. Anyway, if anybody from the YouTube golf world were going to make a serious push, Grant's the one name that people would naturally pick because the game is legit. But even saying all that, I come back to the same conclusion. I don't think he could go pro full-time. And the reason isn't because he isn't talented. It's because the upside versus downside, it doesn't make sense anymore. Let's say Grant commits fully for 2 to 3, 4 years. Best case scenario. Maybe he grinds through mini tours. Maybe he gets Korn Ferry status eventually. Maybe he gets a few PGA opportunities. That's the best case. And even then, there's absolutely zero guarantee it becomes a stable long-term career, because professional golf is brutal mentally and financially unless you reach that very small percentage at the top of the hill. Now compare that to what he does. He's arguably one of the biggest golf creators on the planet. I know he has financial security, brand security, audience loyalty, freedom over his schedule, and probably most importantly, he gets to enjoy golf in a healthier way than the pros, because that's a thing fans overlook. Professional golf can destroy your relationship with the game. When every round affects your income, your ranking, your future opportunities, your sponsorship, golf becomes work in a completely different way. We have heard tons of stories of players talk about burnout, anxiety, loneliness, and pressure. It's not always glamorous. Sometimes it's exhausting. Now, there's also burnout on the YouTube side, which I can directly affect to. I've been doing YouTube content with almost 10,000 videos published on multiple channels over 17 years. Burnout is real, right? So I think Grant currently sits in one of the best positions in the entire golf industry. He gets competitive moments without actually being trapped by competitive golf. That's a sweet spot. He could test himself. He can enter events occasionally. He can still create competitive content. He can improve his game, but he doesn't have to gamble everything on surviving one of the hardest professional paths in sports. And I think deep down, I think he knows that. That's why whenever this conversation comes up, he usually sounds intrigued by competition, but never fully all in or abandoning content creation, because realistically, the smarter move is probably exactly what he's doing. Build a brand, keep improving, play competitive golf selectively, enjoy the opportunities, keep growing the audience, and play fun golf for a living. Come on. Sometimes golf fans act like somebody failed if they don't chase the PGA Tour full-time, but that mindset, it's outdated, and honestly, it's toxic. The golf world changed. Content creators have created entirely new lanes where success isn't dependent on earning a tour card. Grant Horvat doesn't need professional golf to validate how good he is. And at this point, he's already built something bigger than most aspiring pros everywhere, and ironically, that's probably the biggest reason that he should not go pro.